Hey y'all, it's Kira,
John,
Rachel,
Caitlin,
Dave,
Hunter,
Jake,
Clara, and you're listening to the
Peercast,
Peercast, featuring the BA reps.
your one-stop shop for everything UMTAD.
hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to our 9th episode of our Peercast.
Featuring
Exciting.
the reps.
Yes, featuring the BA reps. I never introduce it. I always forget. I forget my
No,
own.
it's okay.
Oh no, it'd be like
It's
that.
kind of an amoeba right now. The Peers and reps
amoeba?
are kind of, yeah.
Did you say an amoeba?
Oh wait, what did I mean?
Amoeba?
Amoeba. Shoot.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
Words
I love
are
it.
hard.
Look,
Okay.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that.
All
All right.
Yeah. Well,
Let's do it.
the
Let's
good
do
news
it.
is we have news.
True. So, especially in the current state of our world, how this is panning out, what life is, who knows, really. We got some fun things
knows?
popping up. Who knows? Spring Awakening. Oh, God, triggered. What a time. All right, so y'all, last night was Za in the Zoom. So big ups to our guy Dave Michaeli for coming up with a name, really popping up for Za in the Zoom. So this would serve as the BA's pizza in the pit. If you weren't able to make it and still have questions about classes, Katie put together a super great, informative, super comprehensive document that will be able to tell you all what you need to know. Make sure you check your inbox, or you can go ahead and find it on our peer website as well.
Beautiful. And just as a reminder to everyone, make sure you check when you're registering for classes. So registration is starting this week. I know I always forget to look and then end up registering late, and it's worked out okay, but just make sure you know when that day is so that you can get into all the classes you need. Also, dancers, hopefully you still have your calendar marked for the spring concert audition, which is happening Saturday the 14th. Time is still to be determined, but it'll be on that day.
Yes, be excited. All right, so our BFA sophomore shows are coming up, y'all, which, again, those are going to be appropriate by directed by H. Adam and sound designed by the queen, Rachel Breeze. So make sure you go check that out. Listen to Rachel's wonderful work. You know she's popping off. And make sure that you go ahead and also check out Everybody, directed by Shay Cage. So just like the realism method, look for that Google Docs sign up to get a hold of that Zoom link. But yeah, be excited. It's gonna be a really great fun time, y'all.
For sure. In other super cool, super important news, the BA Tech Design program had their EDI training last Friday with H. Adam Harris. And we have a direct quote from Clara, who also took this training with the BAs when H. Adam came in and did it for them. So she said, write down everything that comes out of this man's mouth, because this man will take you to church. So also fun fact, H. Adam is a BFA alum, which I didn't realize until I just read that. So that's super, super cool. And for BAs who are not part of the tech design program, definitely keep an eye out for hopefully an EDI with H. Adam coming up this year. And definitely keep an eye out for the next town hall meeting, which will be before the end of the semester. All right, and we have some super, super rad, super cool Northrop events going on. Shout out to Hunter, who definitely forwards these every week because she works there as an intern. Fun fact. All right, so they're doing Denim, a new dance film by Andrea Miller and Helix Films based on Andrea Miller's previous production, Boat. So in-demand choreographer Andrea Miller's work emphasizes the contrast of being human, the grotesque and the sublime, the chaos and the elegance, with movement both primal and poetic. Wow. So through an innovative creative collaboration with Northrop, Miller's company Denim debuts an evocative new dance film adapted from Miller's 2016 piece, Boat, that explores what it looks like, feels like, and means to be searching for home. Featuring the music of Northrop's pipe organ, played by the university organist Dean Bill Meyer, and the Twin Cities-based pop-up choir in the score, the film takes viewers on a journey of people becoming undone, floating adrift, holding each other, building bonds, and allowing hope and dignity to grow anew. So the online performance will also include 2 bonus dance films created by Andrea Miller and Ben Stamper prior to the collaboration on both. So this will be next Thursday, the 19th at 7:30. It'll be a live stream. This one is not free because it is Andrea Miller. Definitely a really big deal. But student tickets are only $10. So that's pretty rad, pretty cool. I can't wait. I am definitely planning on seeing that. Holy smokes. Northrop is also doing a Zoom webinar, and this one is free and online also, titled, Will COVID-19 Turn the Generation Gap into a Chasm? So the co-authors of Marist Mindset List offer opposing views on how COVID-19 pandemic may affect the current American generation gap. So the Marist Mindset List is meant to reflect on the worldviews of that year's incoming class of college students and to help faculty understand those students. In the 20 years since its creation, the book has been a valuable marker of social, economic, and cultural change for successive generations. Tom McBride and Charles Westerberg rely on their own thinking and research as they debate whether the pandemic will unite the generations around fighting a common foe or if it will exacerbate already gaping differences. So it sounds like a super interesting conversation. If you're interested in tuning in, it'll be this Thursday, the 12th at 3:30. And again, that's free, but make sure you register through Northrop to get that Zoom link.
All right, y'all. Next up, we have something really exciting. This is really fun and really just like, this is going to be a great, wholesome time. We're going to learn, we're going to bond, we're going to cry, as you do. We're going to have a wonderful time. Next up is going to be our interview with Madeline Wall and Renée Schwarz. 2 amazing human beings. Love them so much. So Madeline is a 2020 graduate at the University of Minnesota, where she directed the Minnesota premiere of Dryland and an original adaptation of Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale. She appeared as Isabella in Measure for Measure at the Gremlin Theatre in 2018 and spent the summer of 2019 acting with Santa Cruz Shakespeare. She started the Birth Play Project because she believes that womb holders' stories belong on our stages and in our collective consciousnesses. She is the playwright, producer, and director of I With Things Newborn, in addition to playing Francisca.
Also joining us this evening is the beautiful, the wonderful, the so talented Renée Schwarz, who is currently a senior at the University of Minnesota studying theater arts and theater education with a direct track to the teaching program. Most recently, Renée performed in The Table, directed by Kym Longhi, in collaboration with the Combustible Company and the University of Minnesota Theater Arts and Dance Department. She also played Kitty in Denim, directed by Lisa Channer, in collaboration with Theater Novi and UMTAD, and she plays Juliet with I With Things Newborn and is here to wow us with her grace and wonder along with Madeline. All right, welcome in.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Great.
How are
it's so good to see your face.
No.
It's been so long.
It has.
So you two have a show tonight, week 2. Yeah. How's it feeling? How did the first week go? First weekend.
I don't know if Madeline wants to speak on this at all, but I thought that it went really well. We have more and more people coming to see it every night, which is awesome. We had great feedback from the audience both nights. So it's been going really well so far.
Good.
Yeah, I will echo that. It could have been way less magical than it was. I was kind of preparing myself for that because we perform for audiences of less than 10 people and it's distance and it's weird. And I thought there might be like a cloud of fear in the room, which I was really trying to make sure didn't happen. And it really was, opening night was probably one of the best opening nights I've ever had. Like, it was just really healing. I think I'm very grateful that we get to do it at all. So
That's beautiful. Do you mind? Okay, so I have the synopsis pulled up. So just for anyone who maybe didn't catch the episodes where you came on before, do you mind if I read that for everyone? Beautiful. Unless you want to read it too. It's your show.
You can absolutely read it.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So this is I With Things Newborn, written by Madeline Wall, performed by Renée Schwarz and Madeline Wall. At the start of Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, an ineffectual duke leaves his city under the charge of Deputy Angelo, a religious zealot who immediately begins enforcing old laws on moral behavior. Among those prosecuted are Claudio and Juliet, a young Catholic couple who have conceived a child before marriage. Claudio is sentenced to death, and Juliet is scarlet-lettered, sentenced to a life of single motherhood. But first, they are both arrested, publicly humiliated, and imprisoned. Then Juliet's water breaks. That's an amazing setup for this show. And
that's like the before the play happens, sort of like info for the audience. So yeah, that's like exposition a little bit for those who are seeing the show who have not read Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, which is a great play. But this is a very different play that takes place inside that world. So yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Sorry I can't read today. Scarlet lettered to a single life of motherhood.
Yeah, that's like the best way I could find to describe it. We all read that play. Not play. That's a novel. We all read that novel in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or told everyone that we read it. So,
Gorgeous.
Sure.
And okay, so you have a super, super, super comprehensive plan for COVID that is so thorough. And how was it kind of coming up with that process and those parameters? And what was it like rehearsing kind of in pandemic, like under pandemic rules? How did that go?
I can speak to the process of creating the parameters. I mean, I think one thing that I think because we have the time, I will just clarify, is that I didn't necessarily wake up one day and think like, what would be a great idea is in-person theater during a pandemic. Like that's not how this happened. What happened was I had a rental contract that was already signed with the Off Leash Art Box. It was signed last October for performance dates in May. And that half of the rental fee had already been paid when the show had to shut down because of COVID in March. And we had rescheduled the dates for December. And then the Art Box announced that they were going to have to close their venue because of the fact that they can't sustain an empty building anymore. So that's a great loss for the community, but the owners were generous enough to reach out to me and say, hey, you still have this reservation. We're going to close at the end of the year. Do you want to do anything? And so that was sort of the pressure cooker that I was in. And it really was a question of like, does it happen or does it not happen at all? Right? Mm-hmm. So that was what I was faced with. And I was like, I think it's worth trying. And I don't think that just the nature of the show doesn't lend itself to outdoor theater. And I also recognized that it would probably get too cold as well by the time we were in October. So I just started thinking like, what can we do? I looked at the CDC guidelines. That was like where I first started. Then I looked at the Minnesota State guidelines about indoor gatherings. And the first number that came to my head in terms of safe capacity was 10, even though the technical guidelines in the Minnesota guidelines are 25% capacity, which would be 25 people. And I was like, how about 10? So it was really just about like, what's within the guidelines, and then let's do more. And it was great because the expectation is that 0 people come, right? Mm-hmm. So every single person who comes at all is this tremendous gift. It's like a precious thing. And so it really makes you appreciate audience members as individuals. I think that's what I've learned from the process. But Renée can speak more to the process of rehearsing and all that jazz.
Yeah. So we rehearsed in a different space. Actually, it was Elysian. We mostly rehearsed in, yeah. And so it was just Madeline and I, and we were both in masks the whole time. And we mostly just did like text work and all that. So we weren't actually touching until we got into the art box space. So we kind of held off on choreographing all of that until we actually got into our space. And yeah, I felt super safe the whole time. We both were very open with our communication about what we were comfortable with, which, you know, for me as an artist and actor was awesome. So yeah, it was, I mean, for me, I felt really safe, and it went, I mean, we're doing the thing, so I think it went well.
Yeah. I mean, the masks are such an interesting component of the performance, because we wear them the whole show and we rehearse with them. Like, it just is a really different way to conceptualize your actor self. But it's great. I mean, it's great to put our like Margolis training to use from what we learned at the U, because it really has to be a performance with your entire body. And there has to be such specificity that you can't really, like, I mean, you can get away with more when you can just like do facial athletics, you know, but we can't do that. So that's been a great challenge, I think.
So I'm interested. I know so Madeline, you pop off and like live your best life always. And like, so like, that's just number one. Just need to speak the truth if we're gonna be here, you know. I'm interested. How do you like, you know, just like break it down for someone who would like want to start producing their own theater and creating, like, what is your like how did your first show go, like, that you put on? Like, what did you do? Like, how did that happen?
Oh my gosh. Wow. We're taking it back. That's a great question. So my first directing/producing project was back in the town that I grew up in, which is Rochester, New York, Western New York, awesome theater community. Got to plug Rochester. And I did a musical. I did Children of Eden by Stephen Schwarz.
Wow. I am not a stranger. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's unprecedented.
Great music. That musical, I will stand by that musical till the day I die. Literally, the lyrics to the closing number are right there. They're framed on my wall. It's very important to me. It was the first show that I ever was in. I was in the musical when I was 10. I played a butterfly. So it was very special. And I was moving from New York to California this summer between my sophomore and junior years of high school. And so there was this crazy idea that came about on social media, where I was just talking about how much I love Children of Eden. And then I connected with a few community members, and we were like, we should do a production to say goodbye to the Rochester theater community. And we should make it a fundraiser for local arts education organizations that had helped me grow. And so the original idea, and this I think is pertinent, was that we were just going to do the show and other people were going to be at the helm and I was going to act in it. Like, that was what I was planning on doing. And then what happened is that other people dropped out of the production. They were like, we just can't make this commitment. And so the only way it was going to happen is if I took the reins. And I think that's the place that I've always started from. And that's been the case with a lot of my projects, is that it just, I mean, this one is no exception. Like, it either just, it exists if I am the leader, or it doesn't exist at all. And I think that's where a lot of directors start from too. Like, you want something to exist that you want to see, that you want to be in, that you just want to have the opportunity to know is in the world. And in order to make that happen, you have to do it yourself. And so it was a wild endeavor. I actually acted in that as well. And I directed and produced and I choreographed. It was what? But
all
it was
the hats.
And then I reconceptualized myself as an artist, and I was like, oh, wow, this is a thing I can do. And it's deeply empowering, and it will prevent me from whining about how difficult it is to be an actor and how I feel so subject to other people's visions. And it's hard as hell, but yeah, I've just kind of been on autopilot ever since then. So once you know it's possible, it's hard to resist.
I see that. I just think it's funny how you started with Children of Eden of all the shows.
Yeah, I don't think people who know me now suspect that my first show was like this big cast musical, because I have such a specific niche with like kind of serious birth plays. But yeah, it was it was a Stephen Schwarz musical.
That's amazing. And
Thank you.
Renée, you're giving birth in this play. Like,
Yes.
okay. And you've done it before.
Is.
Yeah.
In the table too. Okay.
I
So
did
what
it
is
in
that?
the table.
What is that
Yeah.
like? What is that process?
It's kind of crazy because I actually got casted in I Would Think's Newborn before I knew that I was giving birth in the table. It was literally like within a week span, both things happened. So with the table, we kind of devised scenes, and all of those scenes were directed by people in the table. So that specific scene was directed and conceptualized by Emma, if you know her. And so she was like, Renée, you seem like a mom. You're going to give birth. And I was like, okay. And that's kind of how it went. And she's like, I just want you to give birth like on a table. And I was like, cool, I'm down. And then at that same time, I was doing auditions and callbacks for Madeline. And Madeline was like, I offer you this role. And I was like, I'm just giving birth all over the place right now. And then Madeline came to see the table. And she came up to me afterwards and was like, I just like had to hold it together because it's so ironic that you're giving birth in this show and then you're about to give birth in this other thing. So I'm just a birth giver, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. It all comes full circle, I guess.
Yeah. Do you imagine yourself as a mom in life at some point?
Oh yeah, the most. I mean, all of my friends tell me I'm the mom of the group, and I've been told my whole life that I would be a good mom, and I hope, in the future. I can't really say right now, obviously, but yeah, it's in there. It's a dream in there, so hope so.
And that's interesting too that you both of you mentioned that. So the play existed in a different script, right, than the one that you're performing right now. It went through an adaptation process. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very different now. It was originally conceptualized last summer of 2019. And I was performing with a Shakespeare festival at the time. So I was just like Shakespeare on the brain and birth on the brain, because that's just who I am. And so I was basically like, the idea was just, I'm going to do a play about the people who give birth in Shakespeare plays. And it's going to be called I Was Things Newborn, which is a quote from The Winter's Tale. And so the original script had 5 different plays in it. And that was the iteration that had a reading in September, like the end of September. And then as the drafts kept going down, it kept sort of being whittled down and focused, and there was less Shakespeare text. And I realized that one of the characters that I'd chosen to focus on, Juliet from Measure for Measure, was emerging as the protagonist. And it was precisely because she had the least amount of Shakespeare text, because Shakespeare's Measure for Measure includes one scene where Juliet speaks. And so the rest had to just be inferred. And she developed this really specific voice. And I was like, okay, she's the hero. We're going to follow her. And then the script that would have premiered in May had 3 different stories in it. So it was Measure for Measure, and then The Winter's Tale, and Pericles. And so Thaisa from Pericles and Hermione from The Winter's Tale were like supportive figures to Juliet's journey. And the script, I'm very, very proud of. I turned it in as my thesis. it's beautiful. I'm going to say that, like I hope that it reemerges one day when the time is right. But I always had this lingering thought in the back of my mind, like, if we're telling Juliet's story, why can't we just be with Juliet the whole time? And so when the opportunity presented itself to do a pandemic conscious production of this play, that's what I did, is I just cut it down to the 2 actors, and it's just Juliet in her prison cell laboring with this stranger. And honestly, that's because of all of the people who have given birth in 2020 under really harrowing circumstances in hospitals with visitor restriction policies, with strangers who are masked. And there's just a heightened level of fear there, and a heightened level of trust that becomes necessary. And that's really why the adaptation exists. That was a lot of what I was thinking about during the writing process.
Wow, what a jump to have to, limit it. It's so interesting to hear about the progression of everything from, a year ago, right? It started, and where it kind of ended now in the midst of the context we're living in.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we call it, like, we say hashtag birth play, like that's what the tagline is on social media. And I think it's useful because it's allowed people to recognize the project. They'll like come up to Renée, I've heard, and be like, oh, you're in the birth play, right? And I think people are in for like a real shock when they realize that like all the plays I'm going to write in the next few years are going to be birth plays. Because I think the fact that we haven't ever really seen a play about this means that like, it seems as though when you do write a play about it, you're writing the play about it. And that's why I think there was this pressure to be like, oh, well, let's represent all of these experiences, right? But what I learned was that, in fact, you don't need to try and represent a bunch of different people's experiences to reach universality. Like, as Kym says, specificity can lend itself to universality. And so if we decide that this one person's story matters, then logically it follows that all these other individuals' stories must matter as well, and that they're worth listening to. And so I was like, I don't know that I need to place the pressure on myself to be universal. Like, I just have to focus on this one person. And that doesn't make the play small. Just because it's one person doesn't mean that person is small. And that was a big learning curve for me. But she just became more compelling with each draft, the character did. And I was like, no, she's got her own life. She's her own hero, right? And then Renée played her, and then I'm like, well, yes, of course. She's very large. She contains multitude.
Yes. Renée, what is it like to dive into that character? Who is Juliet?
I've honestly never played a character like Juliet before. Madeline was very surprised that I never played an ingenue before. So this was a big step for me, because I'd always play like the comedic ones or just the weird, my director never knew where to put me kind of thing. So this was definitely a big thing for me. And I love Juliet. I've had some back pain the past couple of days, so I'm joking that she kind of lives in me right now. And I'm feeling her pain. But she goes on this great journey, and I connect with her so much on like such an intuitive level. And Madeline and I have talked a lot about intuition, and she has like this great sense of innocence and intuition that I just hold on to. And giving birth, I'm scared of it. Scares the heck out of me. And so it kind of gives me a little bit of this insight of what's hopefully to come. And I think she's, like Madeline was saying, she's so universal, and I think a lot of women can relate to her, which is awesome. And she's so powerful and strong, and she doesn't even know it, which is really cool.
I think she knows it by the end.
Yeah.
Hopefully. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Man. And okay, so I guess I should clarify too for our listeners. So we're recording this on Thursday, the 5th, even though this episode drops on the 10th when the show has closed, but you're doing a recording option, is that right, of the show?
Yes. So we actually just did our last filming session yesterday. So the video is going to be available on Sunday. There's been confusion about that because people are like, is it live streamed? And it's not live streamed because the venue has no Wi-Fi. So we were not going to do that. But we're coming up with, well, we are not, to be clear. It's Jake Badovsky and Seth Campbell, who are incredible. But they are currently working on editing a video of the production, which will be really lovely for our virtual audiences. And that'll be available to stream from Sunday the 8th through the month of November. And it's on a pay what you can basis. And if you want info about that, you can just follow at Birthplay Project on Instagram. Or you can email birthplayproject@gmail.com. And we will send you that info as soon as it is available, which by the time this airs, it will be. So yeah, hopefully that'll be a great experience for people. And I'm really excited about it because it means that not only can people who have different levels of comfort about COVID risk see the show locally, but also people can see the show from wherever they are in the world. And that's something that I hope will carry forward beyond the pandemic era, because I don't know why we haven't done that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to become a lot bigger. I feel like, it kind of not started with Hamilton, but like became super like this huge idea with Hamilton. And I'm excited to see the theater becoming more accessible to everyone. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah. I think, as boring as it is, I think a lot of it has had to do with like money and legality and like all of that, just producer stuff that it's not fun to talk about. So I won't go on about that. But, the fact that the show is a world premiere, if you will, and it's not published by any particular organization and it's not licensed, means that like everybody can see it. And so it's really exciting that the premiere of the show is going to be more national than local. Like that's really cool. So I hope that it will encourage people to make more original theater because the barriers to doing this are actually not there when the play is original. So like that would be even better if we were able to see original plays through this format. Like, let's go, America.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really cool. I mean, I think it's really cool how this like came from your senior thesis though. Like that's making me think like what mine is / should be. Just kidding. It's already approved. It's done. I just gotta do it. But no, I just, it makes me think like, I don't know, like Renee, I know you're also living your best life. With yours, how's that going? Are you thinking of, would you do something similar? Like,
I'm actually, my thesis as of right now is writing a full year's worth of theater education curriculum, mostly focusing on theater historiography. So yeah, that's my plan. Don't know if it's gonna go all the way there, but Kym Longhi's my advisor, and she's been a great resource. And Me Hall's class, theater history, both 1 and 2, have been a big help with getting all my resources and knowing what curriculum I want to teach. So yeah, I'm excited to hopefully get it done.
I don't know why the senior thesis seems so intimidating when like it's us who come up with the ideas of doing what, like, I
mean, there's a lot of pressure there because I think, when I was a senior, I'm so sorry. I'm like not older than you. This is like a few months ago, but it just feels like such a big deal because you feel this pressure to culminate your experience and make it, representative of everything you accomplished and everything you learned in the 4 years. And I think sometimes it's necessary to like take that pressure off and be like, no, this is just a project that I work on. And I think for me, I found that if I just became committed to the project itself, then I would naturally end up using all the things that I learned and pulling from all the resources that I had, gained access to. And, I didn't have to feel so responsible for like proving that I had learned a lot, because inevitably I think once the product is there, like it shows, So that's my tidbit of alum wisdom.
Much appreciated.
I'm be here all year.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's and so, okay, speaking of being at the U, what kinds of lessons, we brought up Kym a lot, like in the last, yes. What other kind of like lessons or
a queen? We're all like crossing ourselves. Like
she's right.
Yes.
She's an angel sent from above, I swear.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're using a lot of what you learned with Margolis in this show, especially too. Is there anything else that you've been like carrying, across the finish line of graduation and in your graduation into the work you're doing now?
I don't know. Yeah, Madeline, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Margolis for sure has changed the way that I work, which is, that's been pretty phenomenal. I think I came into college with this very intellectual approach to everything. And so finding the balance between the intellectual and the visceral has been really, really helpful for me in just expanding my skill set as a theater maker. And then, finding that balance always between, academia and what is academic and what is artistic, what is analysis, what is creation. It's weird as a multi-hyphenate artist to create and analyze at the same time. And I think it can be difficult to take your skill sets and your knowledge from the academic sphere and apply them. Like there's this sense that like the jump is huge. And I think it's much more, there's much more overlap than I think we give ourselves credit for. And I think that was an important thing for me to keep in mind when I was in college, is like just constantly like sort of stepping out of the academic world and then stepping back in and like applying different things to each space. And I mean, honestly, what I carry most with me from college is relationships. And, the fact that I banged down certain professors' doors when I was a freshman is the thing I'm most proud of in regards to my college education, because those are the relationships that have sustained me. And, it is true that like, I definitely lose all the specifics from theater history. Like I just don't quite, I don't necessarily remember every detail, but the knowledge that like, I have the kind of relationship where I could just email the professor and be like, hi, can you answer this question for me? Could you help me with this thing? Like that is so valuable. And that's something I really treasure. So yeah, stay in touch, man. That's the message here. Appreciate your people.
Word. How about you, Renee?
Yeah, I mean, Margolis has completely changed me as an artist. I did a lot of physical theater in high school. That was kind of what my high school was known for. But I had never done physical theater like Margolis, if that makes sense. I kind of lost a connection from my body to my brain when I did it in high school, and I didn't know how to connect the two, and I never found like a method that connected the two. And then when I got freshman year, when I was in Kym's class, it just completely blew my mind that like, I was like, this is it. This is what I need in order to get there. And, you know, we talk about like method acting all the time, but, you know, and I never liked that. I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to put myself in that emotional space. But Margolis is like the way to get there without like hurting yourself emotionally or physically, which is incredible. And I want to integrate it into my teaching, hopefully in the future for theater education, because I think it's an incredible method. And I think it's a lot safer for actors too. And it just like gives you, I just have like so much more knowledge of my body, you know, and like what I can do vocally as well. It's really a full body instrument workout. And so yeah, I will hopefully keep it with me the rest of my life and in my practice. And like Mihal's class also just completely blew my mind. I thought theater history was one way, and he proved me completely wrong. So I'm really thankful for all of the people that I've who have come into my path, and all, you know, I hopefully will stay in contact with them for forever.
Well, now we have one last question to ask you. It's the like pinnacle repeated question that we have. It's lovely, gorgeous. It's pretty simple. It's chill. So we want to ask y'all, why theater? Do you know why?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Whew. Renee, you got to go first.
Oh, man.
I'm ruminating.
I think it's, for me, it's connection with people, with myself, with my environment, with the earth. It's just about connection for me. That's the simplest way I could put it.
Wow, that's very succinct. I thought you were going to give me more time to ruminate.
Sorry.
Oh, Renee.
Putting you on your toes.
Yeah, I think, but I do concur with that. I think, you know, we were talking about this a little bit last night, but I started as a writer when I was a small child, like barely could put sentences together, but I was like, I'm going to be a novelist. And writing and novels are such a solitary art. They're so private. It's so intimate to read a novel. And especially with birth plays, because you always got to come back to that. Like there's plenty of depictions of matrescence, the process of becoming a mother and giving birth in the literary arts, because it's private, right? And I think that when we choose to stage something, to actually, as Shakespeare's Measure for Measure would say, to stage it to the people's eyes, right? The idea of sharing space and insisting that something is important enough to necessitate people's full attention, especially now, I think is pretty powerful. And it's just an irreplaceable exercise for our empathetic muscle. Yeah. And I think it just, you know, in terms of, I think Mihal talks about this for sure, but just putting something on stage at all is insisting that it's beautiful. And I like to think about that. So I think it can be a really powerful tool and an important meeting place for a community. So yeah. And it's definitely, we're learning about how essential it is and what exactly makes it essential through the process of this production.
Beautiful. I love the phrase empathy muscles. I think now more than ever is a great time to exercise those empathy muscles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
Let's care about other people.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And just thank you for the work that you both are doing and will continue to do, and the people that you touch and the connection that you provide to others. It's beautiful. I mean, even just here on the Zoom screen, we can feel your energy, and it's so great. So thank you. Also, I'm so excited to see the show tonight. I'm coming.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that, but since you brought it up,
well, we're there.
Very excited.
I'm so pumped.
Okay, John, when are you coming though?
Here's the thing. I will be watching the recording, sadly, but lovely still. Because I gotta work. Man, I gotta get money. I can't just be living my life in theater without. No, I'm kidding. But I need to get money.
Oh, totally understandable. I love that though. I love that there's somebody here who's coming to the live performance, and then there's somebody here who is going to watch the video, because I think it's important to us that it's not a ranking situation. That's never been the goal here. So we're
happy if anyone sees it. That's where we're at.
In any way. Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form.
All right. Well, continue to pop off and live your best lives. I can't wait to see y'all
you as
continue.
Well.
Oh. Stop.
Homecoming king.
Yeah, literally.
Literally a king.
Literally a king.
True.
Royalty in our presence.
It was so fun. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all are amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Much love. Have a good
Renée,
show.
I hope you teach my future children.
Oh, I hope so too. Please send your kids over to me.
I got you. I'll just be like,
teaching the people. The youth of tomorrow.
Youth of tomorrow. That's me. A mother for all.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Goodbye. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Thank you so much, Madeline and Renee, for that beautiful, beautiful time talking to you. Wow, I just really can't wait to see the work that both of those amazing artists put out in the next, forever. For our artist profile of the week, we have Aya Cash, who is a BFA alum. She was part of the inaugural class of 2004, and she is currently a TV and film rock star. So she starred as Gretchen Cutler in the FX dark comedy series You're the Worst, and as Stormfront in the Prime Video superhero drama series The Boys, which came out this year. She was nominated for the Critics' Choice Television Award for Best Actress in a Comedy Series and the TCA Award for the Individual Achievement in Comedy. So she's also appeared in numerous films, including The Oranges, Sleepwalk with Me, Begin Again, The Wolf of Wall Street as Jordan Belford's assistant Janet. She was also in Mary Goes Round, Game Over Man, and Scare Me, which also came out this year. She's also done some off-Broadway work in the world premiere of Zoe Kazan's play Trudy and Max in Love, and she recently played Joan Simon on FX series Fosse Verdon, which, all of you musical theater folks, Fosse Verdon is a must-watch. Totally just go to Apple Store and buy it right now, because it is so worth every single minute of it. Such an interesting story. Beautiful dancing. It's gorgeous. So Aya Cash also did a New York Times did a hilarious spot on her titled The First Time I Ate a Vegetable, parentheses, I was 22. And it's a great read. Check it out for sure. And for our student feature of the week, we have the UMTAD delight, Tara Gravel. She is a BA performance major, and she is the kindest, sweetest, most thoughtful human I have ever met in my entire life. I just can't be more thankful to have taken classes with her. We did the Tim Miller workshop together. She's just a really brilliant, really intentional mind and is going to do some really great work. And so here she is, here to tell you about her and her journey in UMTAD. Hey, Tara.
Hey everybody, my name is Tara Gravel and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm majoring in theater arts here at the university and minoring in studies in cinema and media culture. One of my favorite things about the department is that it's its own community or sanctuary here in this really big campus. I come from a smaller town outside the city, so coming here originally in my freshman year was really overwhelming, and it took a while to find my sense of belonging. But then in my spring semester, I took Intro to Theater, just for fun, since I loved it in high school. I didn't know I was going to be majoring in theater. But when I was in it, I realized how much I enjoyed it. Like, I liked the activities and getting up on my feet for education. I like collaborating with others and feeling safe with others to be vulnerable. I really also enjoyed the engaging guest speakers that came in and who were faculty members in the department. I remember a specific moment after a faculty member was a guest speaker in class. I left the class with such excited energy that I was messaging my friends back home saying, I found where I belong. And I'm just really happy that I continuously feel that to this day after classes. When I was growing up, I was told to do what makes me happy. So my dream for the future is to have a job that I'm passionate about. I believe that I'll find it in the entertainment field, either in theater or in film. So right now, I plan to keep all my doors open and see where life leads me after college. And I'm just really excited to pursue different opportunities. One dream that would be really amazing would be to open my own local theater company or film studio in a place that doesn't already have one. I really think it'd be amazing to grow the film industry in the Midwest. Something that brings me joy right now is the little everyday interactions with those that I love, like playing a goofy game of Monster Prom with my best friend, or watching movies over Skype with my boyfriend. Or this weekend, I got together with my family to see my brother for the first time in a while, who was visiting from Texas. And that was great because I got to be his annoying little sister again. As for something I'd like to share with everyone, I'm super excited to announce that I'm starting a new student group as co-president called Hidden Visions. It's going to be a collaborative group focused on creating performance and media projects. So if there's anything you've been craving to create, our goal is to make that happen. We plan to launch it in spring semester, so stay tuned. There'll definitely be more to come, and we'd love to have you all join. Other than that, I just want to say to everyone to stay positive, be kind, and that we got this. Winter break is coming just around the corner, so keep fighting. We'll get through this. Thank you all so much for listening.
Okay, y'all. I think I just smiled. No, I know I just smiled the entire time listening to that. Tara is an absolute angel of a human being, and it's such a pleasure to introduce her to everyone. So thank you so much, Tara. Okay, John.
Question for y'all. Here we go. All right, we talking about peanut butter. Y'all crunchy or is y'all's creamy? Y'all better be creamy. 'Cause why are you eating?
Creamy,
that's
100%. 100%.
That's really weird. Or if you're allergic to peanuts, just don't eat them. You know, like don't do either. Don't do either. True.
Hopefully, if you're allergic to peanuts, you're not allergic to almonds, because almond butter is fire.
I have to say, I'm allergic to tree nuts, and almonds would suffocate me. So.
Dang! Oops. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, I don't think it's not really in my plan so far.
Okay, great. Glad we're on the same page.
Just you gotta be there. You gotta be there. But yeah, so answer that question, y'all. We're really excited. I want to know because I need to know whether or not we're gonna be canceling you all or we're gonna be friends. I don't know. This is your one chance to be friends with royalty, is if you can answer this question correctly.
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure.
I know. I mean, we gave them
the right answer.
Exactly.
Right.
So they would just be rebelling otherwise. Like I don't know what else to say.
We're gonna stage a show about crunchy peanut butter and then call it Mihal and be like rebellion. Actually. Literally.
Right. Revolt. She said.
Revolt.
All right. So now, our closing thoughts. Stay safe out there, y'all. Stay patient. Remember that you're loved and cared for at all times by us, by the people around you, you know, just by all the people who need to love you and need to appreciate you. Because you know what? If there are other people who you feel you don't need them. Cut it out. Cut them off. You know? Block them on Instagram. At them on Twitter and say that they're canceled, you know? Like, full send it. Like, because at the end of the day, y'all, you are your number one always. So just make sure you just keep living your life. All right. Now to
Word.
close this all out, Kira, what are we doing?
All right, you guys, we have an extra special guest. You know him, you love him. Dave, give us some wise words of the week.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hometown BA rep, Dave, coming at you with another wise words of the week. And I know this week has been a scary week. It's been a stressful week. It's been a tense week. So I hope everyone is staying safe. I hope everyone is staying sane. And since I fancy myself as a bit of an aesthete, a lover of poems and art, I figured I would read one of my favorite poems for the wise words of the week. So this is Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me. That was Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson, and those are your wise words of the week. Stay safe, everyone.
This episode of the Purecast is edited by Rachel Breeze, programmed by Hunter Batterson and Caitlin McLean, and our music is composed by Raymond New.
It's on the Zoom, bro.
In the Zoom.
Bro, you should all come to Zana Zoom. It's going to be a lovely time. It's going to be
Lovely time.
absolutely blizzards, so...
Absolutely bloody wild.